Good morning or good afternoon, 1 of 41ers. What we're going to talk about today is trade. And I'm going to start off with the end of the story, and then we're going to build to that. And the end of that story is that trade is good, that trade benefits all parties. And of course, that assumes that we strip away some noise and some other things, all of which are pertinent and are worth noting and talking about this week. But before we do that, we have to set forth a basis for trade or a reason why trade is something that should be pursued, and we should try to overcome those other hurdles that may get in the way. So I want to give you an example about why how trade could be good that you might think has nothing to do with trade. So I want to talk to you about a fictitious family. Let's say that the oldest daughter is named Alicia. She's 19 years old, home from college. The next is Meg. She's 18 years old. She's a senior. She's home. She's just toughing out the last few weeks. And then there's Kate. She's 14 years old. Finally, a boy. We'll say that he's 11 years old. Another boy, we'll call him Tim. He's 5 years old. And another 5-year-old named Emily. All right, so these are 6 kids that have a wide range of ages. And they might be not too unlike your family if you have a big family. So let's say that the scenario is that these 6 are left home. They're left home and for a weekend. Alicia and Meg are adults. Kate's responsible. We got a 1-to-1 responsible to not responsible group of people. So they're left home for the weekend and nothing goes wrong. And mom and dad have said, we're going to be home Sunday at 9 p.m. Sunday at noon, they call and say, hey, change of plans. We're going to be home in 2 hours. Now this poses a problem for the family, the 6 kids, because the house is a wreck. And the only rule was don't die and don't wreck the house. And currently the house is in shambles. And there are dishes to do. There's laundry, there's lots of pickup to do, sweeping, bathrooms to clean. There's lots of jobs to do. Can't forget dusting, that's a good one. Okay. The 6 represent economic resources. They know that if they don't want to get in trouble, and they're all going to get in trouble, and if you're part of this is my family, I haven't figured this out, it doesn't matter if one is in trouble, that means all 6 are in trouble. And in this case, it doesn't matter who is likely to have made the mess, the house has to be clean or everybody's in trouble. So let's look at these jobs and think about which one might be the hardest to do. Well, I would say that laundry is probably the hardest to do. Dishes are hard. They're not all the same, so keep that in mind. Now let's look at this list of people. Who's best at doing dishes? Alicia or Meg? Who's best at doing laundry? Alicia or Meg? Who's best at picking up? Alicia or Meg? Who's best at sweeping? Alicia or Meg? Who's best at bathrooms? And who's best at dusting? The 2 adults are the best at everything. They're the biggest, they're the strongest, they have the most skill, they have the most experience. So does that mean that if this house is going to get clean, that Alicia and Meg should do all of the tasks? No, it doesn't mean that. So if we compare who the idiot is in this group, that was 5, I was a pretty big idiot. Alicia is better at doing dishes than I am. Does that automatically mean she should do dishes? Maybe. Alicia's also better at dusting than I am. Does that mean that Alicia should do dishes or dust? You probably have a good idea of what should happen. Alicia should do dishes or laundry, and Tim should dust or pick up, because that's what I'm the least bad at. If you say, Tim, it's your job to do the dishes or do the laundry, is there a chance I'm going to get them done? No, I'm incredibly ineffective at those things. So we match what our best skill set is to get this overall job done, and you'll hopefully see that there's a parallel to that in trade. All right. So let's talk about trade specifically. To begin with, a country that does not trade is in a situation called autarky. A-U-T-A-R-K-Y. That's a thing, I didn't make it up. That means that they are a closed economy. And in a closed economy, the only way to produce something is to use resources that were likely being used for something else. So we can establish or look at how things are produced and the trade-offs associated with them in autarky and think about what changes when trade happens. So in our economy, we're going to say that there are two goods. And we'll say that one of those goods is tractors and the other good is pizza. Now, I've chosen tractors and pizza actually kind of carefully. Are there only two goods in an economy? No, there's thousands and thousands and thousands. And the trade-off of one for another is hard to understand when you have so many different combinations or connections. It's impossible. So could I take this two-good world and make it a three-good world? Well, actually I could. I could draw a z-axis like this, and then I would have a trade-off between tractors and cars and pizza, and we would be able to see that. But three, could we do four? I can't draw a fourth dimension. That makes my brain hurt. So two really isn't much worse than three, and we can't go to four. So if we just model with two and then kind of make a mental note, hey, tractors are kind of a specific type of good. It's a lasting good. It's a capital good. We use it to produce something, whereas pizza is consumable. So we're saying, well, we can produce two things. Either we can produce something that produces more in the future, or we produce things that we're going to consume now, and everything would fit into one of those two categories. But for our example, we're going to say it's a pizza and a tractor and think about the trade-off. If our economy produces all tractors, we could produce 100 tractors. And if we produced all pizzas, we could produce 100,000 pizzas, or any linear combination of the two. This is what's known as a PPF, a production possibility frontier. This is saying your economy in autarky without trade can produce 100 tractors or 100,000 pizzas, or 50 tractors and 50,000 pizzas, or 75 tractors and 25,000 pizzas. I can see the slope of this line in the trade-off. Every time I give up a tractor, I can add 1,000 pizzas. So what that slope means is the internal terms of trade, or the price of tractors in terms of the price of pizzas. So in this case, one tractor is equal, not 100,000. One tractor is equal to 1,000 pizzas. If I want a tractor, I have to give up the resources that I use to produce 1,000 pizzas. So if I'm here, living it up, I'm eating all pizza, and I want to produce some tractors, to get to one tractor, I got to chop this down to 99,000 pizzas. A tractor in this economy costs 1,000 pizzas. And conversely, one pizza costs 1/1000th of a tractor. Just slope the other way around, x over y instead of y over x. So if this economy wants to grow, in normal economic terms, if it wants to move outward and enhance the PPF, which is the same as the consumption possibility frontier, they can acquire more resources. They can adopt new technology and develop new technology. But let's say that those things are played out. We don't have the Louisiana purchase to purchase from Russia anymore. France, excuse me. We don't have, Alaska came from Russia, sorry. Technology is kind of at the top of that curve. We can't grow anymore. There's no way to do so. And we're stuck producing and consuming at this level. That's what autarky means. We can produce anywhere on this production possibility frontier, but not beyond it. We run out of resources if we move past that. Okay? So let's make this so that we can see both countries. So we'll call this country A. Country A can produce 100 tractors or 100,000 pizzas. And country B can only produce 50 tractors or, let's make this even smaller. Let's say they can produce 20 tractors or 60,000 pizzas. So we have to look at these two economies, or these two countries and their economies and their resources and their production, and make some assertions about this. Who's better at producing tractors? Country A. Who's better at producing pizzas? Country A. Country A is better at producing pizzas and tractors. Should country A trade with country B? Well, what we've established is that country A has an absolute advantage in the production of tractors and pizza. That just means they can produce more. We start throwing around some normative words like they're better, and perhaps they are better, but perhaps they're just bigger too. They might just have more resources, and that's why they can produce more. But if you think back to the example of you've got this family of 6 kids, is the kid who's bad at picking up and doing everything, are you just going to say, no, don't do anything? No, that person has to work too. There is incentive for the older 2 sisters to put me to work. And in this case, there is incentive for country A and country B to figure out some agreement of trade that benefits both parties. We're going to end, we're going to talk about one tractor is worth 1,000 pizzas in country A, and one pizza is 1/1000th of a tractor. And in country B, one tractor is worth 3,000 pizzas, and one pizza is 1/3000th of a tractor. You need to know that too. But we got to figure out how these two can trade. And when you're thinking about that on your way to class at 1:30 when we're going to meet today, I want you to think about trade when you buy anything. Anytime you buy something, you can think about that as trade. You're trading dollars for a good or service. Or when you're the seller and you're selling your labor for money or perhaps a good. Or it might be that you're on Craigslist or Marketplace or something and you're trading goods for goods or services for services. Every time you do that, you think you're better off. That's trade. That's the same thing that we're talking about here, except for now we have countries that are trading with each other. All right, this is a pretty quick video. So we'll see you at 1:30 and be prepared with questions.